Ladies and gentlemen, the Durham probe trial is done. The jury has everything it needs to make a decision, and we're going to find out Tuesday, almost certainly Tuesday. By the way, have a safe weekend, a wonderful weekend, and definitely hit subscribe. We have a lot to talk about. We'll talk about the Durham probe special counsel verdict. If the jury does its job, there will be a conviction. Either way, it's actually not that big of a deal if there isn't, because future indictments will be based on this trial. Whether or not he gets convicted, I believe he will get convicted. There's a chance for a hung jury, and we'll talk about that. If you want to support this live stream and my work, if you enjoy these live streams, your super chat is extremely important and greatly appreciated. It's right next to where you write the messages down below and on the chat. If you want to support this live stream and you enjoy my live streams, your super chat is so greatly appreciated. You could talk about the Durham probe special counsel, the economy, the upcoming recession, unfortunately, the stock market, Bitcoin crash, my stock market crash channel, the Bitcoin crash channel. Definitely subscribe there as well. But your support is greatly appreciated via super chat. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. The Sussman trial is done. The first trial in the Durham probe special counsel is done. The interesting thing, ladies and gentlemen, is that there are about 2 or 3 people on the jury who perhaps don't like Trump. We'll leave it at that. Who perhaps really don't like Trump. Let's just say they really don't like Trump. They might not be as objective as you would want. So there's a chance that there's a hung jury, which means 1 or 2 people or so decide that the evidence was not compelling enough, even though the evidence is overwhelming. You have a text message saying that Sussman is coming on his own, not on behalf of anybody, and you have a 100% confidence assessment. So this goes back to the assessment, whether how confident someone is. So James Baker is 100% confident that Michael Sussman told him he was not meeting anyone at the Federal Bureau of Investigation on behalf of Clinton. Okay? So the lie was told for a specific purpose. The lie was told for a specific purpose. And by the way, everybody here, hello everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. I wanted to do this a little bit early this evening. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. But the lie was told for a specific purpose, okay? And he didn't want to, on a text message, tell a government official that he was going on behalf of Trump's direct political rival. That's something that he did not want to tell James Baker, Comey's top legal counsel, that he was going to funnel information. He was going to relay information that was false, fabricated, and user-created in many respects to Mark. Hello. God bless you. Thank you. Kristen, Eric, everybody here. D'Artagnan, hello. Everybody, hello. Thank you. Sir Felix, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Michael Sussman deliberately lied to James Baker because he was funneling, deceitful, absurd allegations into a government agency. He did not want the government agency initially to know that he was working on behalf of Trump's direct political rival as he was trying to set up and frame Trump. The problem with the jury is that they might actually believe the defense, and the defense was telling the truth. So the defense was telling this part of the truth, so a lie by omission. And what happened was the following. You have a situation where the people at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, what they did was they were set up and framed Trump, but they pretended that they were investigating Trump based on national security. So when Michael Sussman worked with a tech executive and tech researchers and Fusion GPS and others for a law firm, by the way, that purchased the Steele dossier on behalf of the Clinton campaign, for a law firm, by the way, that also outsourced a third-party tech firm, and apparently the only technology firm that was allowed to look at DNC servers. So DNC servers were never given to the United States government. All of this was done to set up and frame Trump, but you had an outgoing intelligence apparatus that was, Kim, thank you. Jennifer, hello. Tammy, hello. You had an intelligence apparatus that was leveled at Trump. So the really sad and frightening and messed up thing is the following. It is not national security. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not national security. Absolutely not national security to say that the DNC emails were infiltrated by the Kremlin or anyone else. That is not national security. Okay? That is not an example of something important to this country. What if people don't vote Democrat? That's actually a very good thing in my view. But if people don't vote Democrat, that has nothing to do with protecting the country. It has nothing to do with, like what traditional national security is. Ronald Foose, Ronald! Hello, H.A. Goodman, everyone. Thank you, Ronald! Thank you very much. Ronald Foose, thank you so very much. Greatly, 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 greatly appreciated. Thanks, Ronald, as always. Thank you for always watching. I hope you have a great, safe, and wonderful weekend, everybody. Stay safe. Just always be cautious and smart and intelligent and enjoy yourself, enjoy life. I think there's a balance that people can try to attain. We've seen so many horrific tragedies, and one thing I learned from these tragedies is the only way to combat evil is with reciprocal force. This is something that I think is algorithmically friendly, that I can say, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, criminals don't abide by the law, so therefore legislation, smart and sensible legislation, does not deter or stop people who want to break that legislation, break the laws. That's why maniacs break laws. That's why you have criminals. That's why you have prisons. Because people break the law. Because law-abiding citizens follow the law, and people break the law. And I'll just leave it at that. Ronald, thank you so very, very much. Ronald, thank you. To my super chat, thank you. But the Durham Probe Special Counsel is an example of people breaking the law while following the law, or while engaging in lawful conduct. How do you break the law while engaging in lawful or legal conduct? Okay? Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, Ronald, thank you again. To my super chat, thank you. Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, you are working for a corporation. Okay? Imagine you're working for a corporation and you're in line for a promotion and you're competing with a fellow colleague for a promotion, and you forget to, you both have offices, but you forget to close your office or lock your office for the weekend. Some corporations, demand that you lock your office or whatever. So then you come in after the weekend and your boss sits you down and says, you know what, you were in line for that promotion, but I have something bad to tell you. I have some bad news to tell you. My goodness, well, what is it? I mean, wasn't I doing well? Yes, you're doing great. Well, haven't I been making the money, the corporation money? Haven't I been, meeting every goal and objective that you've asked? Yeah. I mean, I actually had a better month than my colleague. Oh, yeah, you had a much better month than that person, yeah. Well, then why am I meeting you? Why are we having this meeting? I'm sorry, I regret to inform you, we're going to fire you. What? Yeah, we're going to fire you. You did not lock your door. Why, you're firing me for that? Yeah, you didn't lock your door. And it's a protocol, and it's part of bureaucratic protocol and office protocol, and it's a guideline and a rule and a regulation we have that you have to lock your door before you leave. It's a long weekend, and you have a lot of confidential information about clients in your office. And we're giving the promotion to the rival in the corporation, and oh yeah, you're fired. So that's an example of a person hiding behind bureaucracy and utilizing meaningless, vapid, absurd protocol to just go after and torment somebody. That's the way. That's what Comey and Strzok and McCabe and Page and Kleinsmith and all of these people, that's what they did. Oh, goodness gracious, we have to investigate Trump? Oh, my goodness, it's national security. We're being infiltrated by another country. I mean, we would never have known that Bernie Sanders was cheated. And the fact we know that now is an attempt by another country, because who benefited from all of this? Who benefits from people finding out about the corruption within the Democratic Party? Oh, that's right. That's right. People who oppose Democrats. Bernie Sanders, who's a tool of the Democratic Party, but Trump, DeSantis, Tulsi Gabbard. And so you utilize the United States government as a political tool. It can happen in any bureaucracy. It can happen in any bureaucracy or any, sometimes you're at the discretion of, you've been at the discretion of a boss, or you see it in baseball or football. I mean, an umpire or a referee can make a wrong call and then kick someone out if they complain. At the end of the day, whose fault is it? If you're an umpire and someone is safe at second and you call that person out, and then the manager comes out and starts yelling, and you kick out the manager, and then the guy who's out at second yells at you, kick out the guy who's out at second. So it's like you've given their opponents not just the advantage of the wrong call, but you've kicked out the game the manager and the base runner. But that's bureaucracy. That's rules, guidelines. A lot of it is up to human discretion. When you have human beings can manipulate a system. That's why Democrats say systemic injustices, because it's like a sleight of hand. It's an illusion. It's a misdirection, which is what Sussman's defense team is calling this trial, which is hilarious. When Democrats talk about systemic injustices, they don't bother to tell you that they've created the systemic injustices. Go to Rikers Island in New York. Go to any major urban metropolitan area run by Democrats. Ask what the poverty rate was 10 years ago compared to now, and if it's similar, or 20 years ago, or 30 years ago. Democrats preside over cities and counties throughout the country that have been struggling with economic issues for decades. And then they have the audacity to claim, oh, we're against systemic injustices. Well, you've presided over the systemic issues. In many ways, you've caused them with the inflation. It was Democrats who caused this inflation. I can't believe people can't look 2 years, look at 2 years ago. What happened? We ended economic activity. It's like ancient history for half the country. Like, oh, well, we had to do it, no problem. It's like, no, that's what caused all of this. But you have a situation where bureaucracy was utilized against Trump, a government bureaucracy. Media was utilized, public relations. Okay, so the Federal Bureau of Investigation fed lies to journalists as these journalists and political operatives and attorneys like Sussman were feeding lies into the government agency. It was like this circular dystopian nightmare of bureaucratic malevolence leveled at Trump. You had people at these liberal publications talking about how the Steele dossier was being used by the government. Don't you understand? The government was using the Steele dossier. I.W. Yang, hello. Ronald, thank you again. Don't you understand the government was using the Steele dossier? Well, what was the Steele dossier? It was purchased by Clinton's law firm that Sussman worked for. But the Steele dossier was utilized in a government investigation. So all Clinton had to do was feed this dossier to a government agency while at the same time feeding it to reporters, and you have a hoax. You have the greatest conspiratorial theory in American political history. Another country infiltrated 2016. How do we know? Because a dossier said that Trump enjoyed certain types of showers and activities in a Moscow hotel room. How do we know this? Well, we know this because it was written in these publications. Well, why was it written in these publications? It's written in these publications because the government was utilizing it to investigate Trump. Well, why was the government utilizing it to investigate Trump? Because it was fed to the government by political operatives. Well, why were political operatives feeding it to the government? Well, it's because Clinton and the Democratic Party deceived everybody. 18 U.S. Code 371. J-Spot 51, thank you. Short-sightedness and selective memory. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you, J-Spot 51. Thank you. Being an amazing member. Thank you. But that's what this is all about, ladies and gentlemen. Ronald, thank you again to my super chat. Thank you. That's what this is all about. But the jury, okay, the trial, the Sussman trial is about one specific lie that is so obvious he told that lie. It is so obvious he told that lie. It is so obvious. The problem, however, is that the defense has the luxury of being in D.C., of having people that side with Democrats, of having people who possibly know Sussman, and the defense actually went after the FBI and said, oh, they weren't doing their job. And you had Mark Elias go on and on about how another country was trying to get Clinton's emails. And that, okay, again, Clinton's emails, the existence of deleted emails, or the act of deleting 30,000 private emails on servers running outside of the United States government, mixed with top secret intelligence, is a national security problem. That is a national security problem. Not Trump, like in a speech asking for another country to obtain those emails. That's not national security. It has nothing to do with national security. It has nothing to do with national security. And if you ask, like, you can go to any major liberal YouTuber right now, see what they're talking about. They're talking about how the Republicans are backwards. What were they talking about 10 years ago? How Republicans are backwards. They're not talking about, like, it's just public relations. It's like the cool, like, well, definitely not the cool crowd, but it's like people who think they're the cool crowd in high school. And they're just talking about how other people are so lame. They're not talking about inflation, recession, geopolitical nightmares, failures of diplomacy. They're not talking about any of this stuff. I mean, they're not talking about crime, homelessness. They're just talking about how Republicans are mean and they lack morality. And Sussman lying in order to cover up or hide, all of these. I.W. Yang, hello! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you so very much. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you. Thank you so much to my super chat. Thank you, I.W. Yang. Thank you. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching in Singapore. Thank you so very much, I.W. Yang. Thank you. I know I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, but I apologize. But I thank you so very much for watching. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but I thank you so much for watching. Thank you. And for your support. Thank you so much. Let me see. I'm going to find out how to pronounce. Okay, hold on one second. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Thank you. So I'm trying to pronounce. I tried to find it on YouTube. I still couldn't hear it. Ew Yang. Thank you. I think it's Ew Yang. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Norman Smith. Norman. Thank you, Norman. Ew Yang. Thank you so much. Norman Smith. Thank you. You have a situation where people don't care anymore. They just, it's just, this, what they did to Trump has never been done in American politics ever. It would never have been allowed ever. There has never been a time up until recently in American political history where the government went after an incoming presidential candidate. There was never a time when that happened. Norman, thank you again. There's never been a time where that took place. You've never had that time because you had a like the past 5 years has been a situation where Democrats can't point to an achievement. They can't point to an actual policy achievement. The country is going into a recession. Mashed potato brains Biden has been in office for 2 years now, going on 2 years. He's literally accomplished nothing, or he did one thing that was good. Other than that, he's accomplished nothing aside from not being Trump. The only thing he has actually accomplished is not being Trump, which is not an accomplishment, but it's like, you know, the be-all, end-all of wonderful, morally superior Democrats. This is the thing that's like interesting also. It's like, why would you think, so I understand that the mentality, I was a Democrat my whole life, but why would you think you're morally superior when the people you look up to, Hollywood, is like the epicenter of immorality? Intelligence agencies in Hollywood. Tom Greer, thank you, sir. Thank you, Tom. Hope you have a great, fantastic weekend, and have a safe, wonderful, beautiful weekend. Thank you, Tom. Greatly appreciated, Tom. Thank you so much. Tom and everybody here, what would make somebody feel morally superior if the president they voted for, mashed potato brains, is presiding over 8 to 9% inflation with a recession as we raise interest rates? Does that make any sense to anybody? Does that make any sense to anyone? Kentucky Cobra, hello. Does that make any sense to anyone? Tom, everyone here, thank you again, Tom. Does it make sense to raise interest rates during a recession because you pumped $10 trillion into the economy, which, by the way, was supposed to spur economic growth? I mean, it was supposed to just keep people alive and afloat, and it made sense because it had to happen. They didn't really make ending economic activity made no sense at all. But people, that's what happens when you have social media algorithms on your side. That's what happens when you have social media algorithms on your side. That's why Twitter is like, Elon Musk hopefully will take the greatest advantage they have away from them. That's why you see like these TikTok videos, so hilarious. You see these TikTok videos, Tom and everybody here, thank you again, Tom. You see these TikTok videos where it's like, these people are like, thanks a lot, Elon Musk. You ruined Twitter. It was a place where it was awesome and cool. You made it uncool. You made Twitter not fun anymore. Elon Musk, I can't stand you. I'm leaving Twitter. And it's like, they don't realize that that's the main advantage they have. They should probably, all these wonderful, morally superior liberals who enjoy the fact that Twitter has silenced and suppressed and marginalized any debate. What should have taken place the past 5 years, an actual debate and discourse on Twitter, not like, caution, this information from the mean orange man Trump is wrong. Caution. Who takes that seriously? What kind of imbecile looks at Twitter and says, that's the true definition of right and wrong and fact and fiction, lies and truth, Twitter. And what they do, like the fact-checking organizations, creatively lie by omission. And then they say, fact check, Trump is wrong. And it'll be like Trump says the economy is the best economy of all time. Wrong. We've had better economies than this. And then with mashed potato brains Biden, we're heading into a recession, and you have and you have how to, like CNN is like, how to deal with a recession. Maybe you should get another side job. Maybe you can go ahead and enlighten yourself with new skills. Because it's not Biden's recession. It's actually Trump's from 2 years ago. It's his fault. They'll never look in the mirror. They'll never look in the mirror. It's unbelievable. The sky is like literally falling. Everything is worse than it was under Trump. And more people lost their lives under the first year of mashed potato brains than the last year of Trump. But the last year of Trump, I literally heard people, I just want to let you know every life lost is Trump's. Every life lost. Tom Pennington! Tom, thank you again. Thank you so very much, Tom, as always. Tom Pennington, Tom Greer, thank you. Thank you. Tom Pennington, I hope you have a great, great weekend. Thank you so much. Tom Pennington, Tom Greer, they're not going to have Twitter anymore to silence and suppress debate. You know, there's not going to be a fact check under Trump. I love that so much. It's at that point it was just so petulant because nobody, even Democrats, didn't really care. All they could do is point to it. You see, Trump under his tweet, it's a disclaimer. Like, yeah, because Twitter is, everyone is like an ideologue, like a liberal ideologue. That's what they were. That's why they're all going to leave now because Elon Musk's taking it over. Caution! Trump is telling lies. And then when Biden tells a lie, or when like 5 years of lies pertaining to Trump and Russia, it's nope, nothing. You have Congress people for years saying that Trump was installed by the Kremlin. It never broke a guideline. Tom Pennington, again, thank you so much. Tom Greer, thank you. It never broke a guideline. You never break a guideline. You could say that Trump is accused by the planet of the most despicable activity, installed by the Kremlin. The reason that a comet is heading towards Earth is taking democracy and shoving it up his gigantic orange rear end, and you will not, up until recently, you would not get even suspended, nothing. Nothing. But God forbid you echo anything Trump says. Oh, fact check. It's a fact check. Like, nobody cares anymore about fact. First of all, the people checking the facts are liberal ideologues who will lie by omission. They'll just lie by omission. They'll say, if anything, they'll say something like, we checked with an authority, and the appeal to authority says that Republicans are wrong. Well, that's an appeal to authority, and the authority has a vested interest in opposing Republicans. We spoke to this Democrat. We spoke to this government official who votes Democrat. We spoke to this government official who stands to lose. Richard, hello. We spoke to this government official or this Democratic operative or this journalist who opposes Trump and got his thoughts or her thoughts. Therefore, that's a fact check. It's not a fact check. You're not checking any facts. What you're doing is, when they claim to check facts, what they'll do is, in the headline, it'll say Trump wrong, or no, they'll say things like Trump exaggerates, but an exaggeration is not necessarily, that is an opinion. If you're saying somebody's exaggerating something, you're not, that it could be that the person is accurately expressing his viewpoint, not necessarily an exaggeration. But because you don't think what he's talking about is that important, you're saying, oh, it's just, hyperbole. But it's like these people, like, they've used up any prestige or any like trust that they had. You used to see like a fact check article and say, okay, let's read it. Now, if you have any critical thinking skills, you know that it's just there to undermine Trump or Republicans. That's it. That's all. And the absurd leaps of logic, my God. You have to explain to people like, no, Trump is not an authoritarian from the 1930s or 40s, because those monsters committed unspeakable atrocities that Trump, in a million years, not only does he not want to commit those atrocities, he would never commit those atrocities. So how do you link Trump to those types of monsters? Oh, well, he's mean on Twitter and he insults people. Oh, okay, so you're making the most absurd, egregious, sad and pathetic and frightening leap of logic because you lack critical thinking skills or you lack control of your emotions. No, he's just like them. And so that's why we're in this situation, ladies and gentlemen. We're in this situation because, and I've talked about this, like, it's more than just. It's more when you see these tragedies take place. It's more than just, social media, or it is, the social media is like a huge problem. It's like a scourge upon humanity. But it's more than just people thinking that Trump is, the embodiment of everything wrong. Like, they go after Trump and Republicans more than they do maniacs who commit unspeakable, atrocities. And that's like, you can see, like, they'll actually be more descriptive about, like, a Republican senator. They'll level greater vitriol towards a Republican senator than they will actual, criminals who commit unspeakable acts. They'll do that. It's interesting because when you have a society where one political side utilizes tragedy, like they utilize tragedy. Democrats utilize tragedy. It could be 2 years ago with shutting down economic activity. It could be, horrible events that are unspeakable. Like, you can't even wrap your brain around the horror and the nightmare and the hell on earth. Like, you can't even wrap your brain around the things that recently have taken place. But you ask yourself, I would love to ask a CNN pundit or a wonderful liberal, highly intelligent liberal YouTuber, what is it that makes this maniac or lunatic or monster commit the most unspeakable barbaric crimes? What is it that makes them do this? Do you know? Yes or no? And I can assure you that they will not answer the question. The smartest people in the room don't care. They will not answer the question. They will not answer why people want to be known as the most evil and despicable human beings on the planet by committing an abomination, an absolute abomination against humanity, a crime against humanity. They will not tell you, I'm speaking obviously in algorithmically friendly terms. They will not tell you what compels, what happens within the soul or the spirit or the psyche or the mind or the heart or whatever was left of whatever those things within somebody who commits these unspeakable acts. They don't care. So if they don't know why these things are taking place, how on earth do they know that their policies, greater legislation, more laws will make it more difficult for... They're not even saying it'll stop these tragedies. They're saying it'll make it more difficult. It's not about making it more difficult. You're not going to make anything more difficult for a lunatic who will stop at nothing to destroy the lives of others. God, it's so simple to use basic logic. Every time these tragedies say, well, you see, you were right. Like, what are you right about? You're not right about anything. It happens in blue states. It happens in red states. You're not right about anything. What are you right about? You see. And then they've programmed themselves, the morally superior liberal Democrats, they've programmed themselves to, take a tragedy and utilize it to justify their policies and legislation that would never prevent the tragedy from taking place in the first place. So it's like this. They're not about actually saving lives or protecting the country. They're about how can we twist everything into buzzwords and into, vapid public relations, like snippets of public relation, outrage and indignation. And these people live off of indignation, but it's actually pretty easy to refute their arguments, because you have to just ask them, well, why is it happening? Why are these monsters doing what they're doing? And so it's like, it's kind of like you have to ask why do things take place? Why do people commit crimes? Okay, in the case of Sussman, he committed this crime because he wanted to set up and frame Trump, or he was paid to do so. He was paid to set up and frame Trump. Now, they'll never admit this, and as you can see, like, they actually have two types of defense. One is, well, it wasn't a lie. They knew, the Federal Bureau of Investigation knew that Sussman was going to give derogatory information on Trump. The next type of defense is, well, it was the fog of conflict. We didn't know what was going on. We had no clue what was really happening, and we just didn't know. So, we made some mistakes, but you know what? Our hearts were pure. We were just trying to protect the country from influence and interference campaigns from our adversaries, because our adversaries knew that people would vote Republican if they learned how corrupt Democrats were in the primary. And that's it. There's two types of defense. One is agreeing with every conservative out there. Sorry about that. It was rough. Used not to be like, you know what? Let me fix this. Gosh, the audio. I don't know what to do with this audio. I know. How's the audio now? How's the audio now? Is it better? Let me know. Is it better, ladies and gentlemen? Is it better? Is the audio better? Somebody tell me. Somebody, anybody within the 359 people here. Okay, good. Good. Thank you, Craig. Thank you. So, thank you. Julie, thank you. Nuna, thank you. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you. So, thank you, Brenda. Brenda, I hope all is well. Thank you. Norm and everybody here, thank you. Lenny, thank you. The Party of One, thank you. 1, 2, Mayo Man, Scott, everybody here, thank you so much. So yeah, the Sussman defense is actually Well, the FBI knew, the Federal Bureau of Investigation knew that Trump was, that everyone was working on behalf of Clinton. That's the thing. It's like, it's pretty bad when the jury has to base their decision on corruption within the Federal Bureau of Investigation. It's like pretty bad when the defense, Sussman's defense, is that, yeah, of course he had to lie initially, but the lie didn't even matter because everyone knew he was funneling lies into a government agency to have that government agency investigate Trump. Everybody knew that. So there you go. Like, if there is a hung jury, which means one or two of the people, you need a unanimous conviction. So you need everyone within the jury to convict. If it's a hung jury, they call a mistrial, and then they'll retry the case again. And there will be a retrial. Okay? That is not necessarily the worst thing that could happen. In terms of public relations, yeah, you'll have CNN and the Washington Post say, see, there's really nothing there, you know. There's really nothing there. Like, they still can't, the Washington Post still can't come to the terms with the fact that Trump was set up and framed. They'll never admit it. They will never admit it. They'll be like, oh yeah, you know, the government, they revere government. Their appeals to authority only work when the authority is on their side. If it's John Radcliffe, like John Radcliffe and James Clapper have the same position. They are both directors of national intelligence. They are both ODNI chiefs. Okay? And they had the same position. They were doing the same thing. And it's like James Clapper, media, Democrats, Hollywood, reveres. Okay, oh yeah, you know, James Clapper, John Brennan, oh yeah. They said that Trump was was part of a Kremlin operation. Then John Radcliffe and Richard Grenell before him, two top intelligence chiefs, stated that, by the way, these government agencies, along with media and political operatives, framed Trump. They set him up and framed him. This had nothing to do ever with national security. Furthermore, they lied. And finally, which is most important, they found nothing on Trump. They never indicted Trump for a reason. It's not for lack of trying. If they could have indicted Trump, they would have. If they could have indicted Trump, they definitely would have. Okay? But they can't. They can't. They have his tax returns. They found nothing. Stormy, that didn't work out. Campaign finance, they're the ones. It was Clinton and the DNC who actually had to pay a campaign finance. They're the ones who committed campaign finance violations. Luke St. Martin, hello! Hello, Luke. I hope all is well. Eric, hello. So you have, like, it's pretty hilarious when they're going after Trump, trying desperately to find something. They can't. But see, again, like, the damage is already done. People believe that he was in some way tied to the Kremlin. In some way, he was tied. And these are the same people who look at, they say, oh my God, Republicans believe in nonsense. And again, like, I don't even gravitate towards political party. There are certain things I'm conservative on, actually perhaps most things now. But see, again, because, conservatives of today are Democrats of 2008 or even 2012. A Democrat in 2012, if you ran today as a Republican, utilizing the same value system, the same viewpoints of a Democrat in 2012, you'd be viewed as like a horrible conservative monster by CNN and Democratic pundits and operatives. You'd be like a monster. You can, President Obama, in many of his speeches in 2012 and 2008, would be considered a Republican, just based on his speeches. Okay? Based on his speeches. Certain speeches. And I mean, forget about 2000. Okay? You can look at the more you go back, the more Democrats were today's Republicans. And the Democratic Party today doesn't really, like, you know, Sandra, thank you. Thank you so much. The Democratic Party today has no value system. They just gravitate towards Beto O'Rourke the other week, like literally the other month, said, we're not taking your, now he is on track to take your, before he wasn't, no, before he was, then he flip-flopped and said he wasn't, now he flip-flopped again and said he was. I think what they do is that the Democrats trot out Beto O'Rourke, and his name is not even Beto. What is it? I forgot what his real name is. They trot him out because they know Democrats cannot win. They really know Democrats generally can't win in red states. Generally not going to win in red states. So they're like, you know what, we'll just, you know, this person's basically an actor, so I'll just get him to go and, you know. But really quickly, I mean, the economy, if you look at the economy, ladies and gentlemen, you look at just getting to the greatest loss of wealth in modern history. Why is the market going up and Bitcoin going down? Because President Mashed Potato Brains is presiding over what unfortunately will be an absolute catastrophic collapse. So the Durham Probe Special Counsel will actually gain steam the more that the economy suffers. Unfortunately, the economy is going to suffer. We're heading into a recession. We're heading into a recession with interest rates increasing. And you ask yourself, well, the market went up this week. It's like, no. You had first 3 months or so, or 100 days of trading. The first 100 days of trading. And the worst in NASDAQ history, and the worst in the stock market since, 1970. Bitcoin's at 28,705. I was telling people it would get, when it was at like 38, 40,000, I said it would get to 10,000. I have the Bitcoin crash to 10,000 or lower channel. I have the stock market crash channel. And if you look, the price of Bitcoin is going to get down, unfortunately, and I say this with all due respect, to 10,000 or lower. One reason will be the $10 billion. A decentralized finance is like one of the huge new, huge things that have come out of a crypto world. And it's like, well, you know, you can kind of enable people to get loans and finance, businesses or business ventures through the blockchain or through smart contracts on Ethereum. And there's actually $12 billion. The entire DeFi industry in crypto and in Bitcoin, the entire industry or the entire decentralized finance world is about $106 billion in loans and banking, banking activity on the blockchain or within the crypto universe. If it's 106 billion and 12 billion, you have 12 billion as, theft, scams. You're looking at an implosion, especially if you're using the price of Bitcoin as collateral for loans. Okay, so people might not be able to pay their loans, and then the price of Bitcoin will continue to crash, making it very difficult for the people who loan the money to get back the money or to survive. So you have, I mean, and then you have like people getting hacked, smart contracts being altered, the codes being altered. Reading about, and you can see these YouTube channels, YouTube segments where they talk about the different types of scams. So it's like, this is a huge, huge thing. There are so many pitfalls ahead. I mean, just in terms of, you could see if in the past 5 days, if you went below 29,000 in the past 5 days in Bitcoin, that should tell the world that what happened in the past week in the market is really not that, the stock market is not rebounding at all. The same problems that existed the past 3 months that tanked the NASDAQ still exist. Actually, they're getting worse. We have no clue if a hedge fund, like a hedge fund, could go under, could take under a couple of banks, or banks could lose billions from a hedge fund that loses 10 to 20 billion or more. That could be a catalyst. Okay, but the bond market, the real estate market, those can, if you are raising interest rates during a recession when there's negative economic growth, and then you inadvertently harm the real estate market and the bond market, which then exacerbates what's going on in the stock market and helps crush the Bitcoin world and the crypto world. Like, what do you think's going to happen? We're basically on a tightrope. We're basically, like, mashed potato brains is on a tightrope. The one person you don't want to see on some kind of tightrope, okay? And the future of the country is there. Like, he's holding the future of the country in his hands. So you have gas prices through the roof, and energy prices through the roof. You can look right here. Oilprices.com is a great website. So you can look at oilprices.com. West Texas Intermediate and Brent crude 115 and 119. So they're like, oh, he doesn't control the global oil price. He doesn't control oil prices. Well, have you ever asked why mashed potato brains doesn't want an end to the geopolitical nightmare in Europe? Ever asked why he doesn't want an end to it? The longer that goes, the more that oil will get to like 120, 130. It's going to break its all-time high. The all-time high in oil is what? 140? What is the all-time high in oil? I forgot exactly. 140? We'll find out. $147, July 11, 2008. Gee, who was president then? It was Bush. Yeah, Bush. The worst president of all time, George W. Bush, in my view. Well, actually, I think it's pretty objective to say. Like, but he's now, Jimmy Kimmel embraces his rear end. It's like Democrats, like, they can know, like, the Lincoln Project people. If you have a political party where you have the Lincoln Project and Bernie Sanders, it's a political party that's like based on deception. They really, people got like upset with me, or like, how do you go from Bernie to Trump? It's like, well, how do you justify the Lincoln Project? How on earth do you justify the Lincoln Project voting alongside Bernie Sanders for the same political party. How does that make any sense? But you have, ladies and gentlemen, 147, can easily surpass the all-time high. And yes, his policies, like, had he simply worked to try to create some kind of peace or negotiated deal. Sorry about that. If you get kicked off, definitely log back on. But, yeah, I mean, you look, ladies and gentlemen, and it's taking place, like all of these things, it's like oil is well over $115, $119. Like, oh, it's not his fault. And then it's not mashed potato brains Biden's fault. And then inflation is 8 to 9%. Well, it's not our fault. Then we're into a recession. It's not our fault. And then negative economic growth. That's not our fault. Then you have geopolitical crisis in Europe. That's not our fault. Then nothing is their fault. Nothing. Like, could you imagine? We had like a record-breaking economy under Trump. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. And then all you heard was Trump. Like anything that went wrong was directly his fault. Thank you, Kentucky Cobra. Thank you. Like anything that went wrong was his fault. And it's like, you look and it's only getting worse. It's only getting worse. That's why, like, it'll be interesting next week. It'll be very, very, very interesting next week. What happens, what the verdict is. If it's a hung jury, then Durham actually needs to give more evidence, and it's actually not a bad thing, even though it would be like a public relations defeat. You can't really get out of that. It would be a public relations defeat. But then again, there would never truly be a public relations victory, because Sussman, if he gets convicted, the Durham Probe Special Counsel continues. If there's a hung jury and it's a mistrial and then they retry the case, he'll eventually get convicted, and the Durham Probe Special Counsel continues. Really doesn't really change that much. It really doesn't change that much. The future of the special counsel is predicated also on the House and Senate. So the House and Senate will become Trump Republican. That's a certainty. Definitely in the House. The Senate is virtual certainty. And here, Memorial Day gas prices at all-time high. What I say is that at least, like, their whole thing is at least Trump isn't tweeting. That is exactly what, that's what their lives are about. At least Trump isn't tweeting. That's the only thing they really care about, whether Trump tweets or not. It's really the only thing they care about. You can have gas prices at all-time high, inflation. You can have all these things, recession, tremendous loss of wealth within crypto, and they won't care. They won't care. What they like is, like, you can see right now, anything that happened under Trump was directly his fault. Anything that happened under Trump. And then more people lost their lives, by the way, in mashed potato brains Biden's first year. More people lost their lives. More people lost their lives. And it was like, hey, there's no federal solution. Gosh, really? Because it was all Trump's fault. The last year of Trump's presidency, I don't know who was giving him advice, but he should never have had those daily briefings. He should. I mean, Mashed Potato Brains has like, it's so funny too. It was like performance art with Trump. When Trump was in office, it was like, "You're never Mr. President. I'm going to apologize to everyone for your lies. No, I'm serious." It's like, oh my God. These people like thought they were like dating Trump or something. Like it was like some relationship they had with him, where everything was like dramatic. It was like performance art. It was like some kind of theatrical performance or Shakespearean, like, "Oh my God, Trump, Trump, Trump." And then Peter Doocy just asks a question at Fox News, and he's like, it's like this big thing, like, "Oh my God, how dare you criticize President Mashed Potato Brains and his bumbling band of buffoons, like literally presiding over catastrophe, economic, political, social, everything is just descending into madness." But with Democrats, it's like, "Can I ask a question? I just have to ask a question. One question. Just one question. Just one little question. I'm sorry to ask this." Like it's just unbelievable. But now you have Twitter slowly becoming, and we'll do 10 more minutes, ladies and gentlemen, and then I'll leave you for this evening. I'll definitely do an upload, but a couple uploads before midnight. But you have, ladies and gentlemen, like Twitter will no longer be Bombastic Bushkin. Hello. Twitter will no longer be Twitter will no longer be a place where Democrats can lie and then silence people for telling the truth. So that is going to be interesting because they're going to go into 2022. It's interesting. When Elon Musk finalizes the deal, he'll probably have Twitter, like in 4 or 5 months? So June, July, August, September, October. It'll be interesting. Oh, Ronald. I tried to talk to Bill. He doesn't want to talk to me anymore. There's a H.A. Badman that says so many bad things about us. I didn't see Kash Patel there. No, I didn't. I saw him on Fox News, though. He's awesome. I didn't see him on X22. No. I will check out that segment for sure. Absolutely will check it out. I will definitely check out that segment. Barcode the Gamer, yes. Jeff Patriot! Biden's bubbling band. Jeff Patriot, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Kash Patel is fantastic. He is awesome. Jeff Patriot, thank you so very, very, very much. Greatly appreciate my super chat. Thank you. Mary, thank you so much. Thank you, Mary. Bobby, hello. Yeah, I mean, Kash Patel is fantastic. It's going to take time, ladies and gentlemen. Look, next year on this channel, hopefully we'll get to 250,000 subs. We're still almost at 200,000 subs. The thing is, like, we're almost there. We're almost to 200,000 subscribers. I am just like, focusing on the Durham Probe Special Counsel. Also, like, my viewership, there's certain topics that they enjoy, and then certain topics I'm interested in that perhaps they don't enjoy that much. So then I did create the Bitcoin crash channel, the stock market crash. I think everybody here enjoys or is interested at least in the stock market, the economy. Bitcoin perhaps a small percentage, a relatively small percentage of the people on this channel are interested. So I started another channel, and unfortunately, I don't want to. I mean, everything that I've been saying since September is taking place. Unfortunately. Jeff, thank you again. Jeff, thank you. Greatly appreciated, Jeff. Thank you. You know, Jason, I think November. No, I'm at 197. I got to 197 in April, I believe. So 197 in April. So so 197 in April. Oh my God, we're gonna have a great live stream for the 200,000, and watch, like, with my luck, it'll be like 199,999, and then 200,000, and I'll be like, this is an amazing live stream, everybody, 200,000, and then like that that night it'll get to it'll drop 20 subs, and I'll stay below 200,000 for a week. It'll be like the live stream celebration that wasn't. But yeah, we're almost at 200,000 subs. But see, again, next year, like next month, the month after, like each month from here on out is going to be more interesting. It's going to be more interesting each month because we get closer to, I mean, November will be Armageddon. Lord knows. My God, Lord knows what, I mean, the propaganda spin from Democrats, who knows? Like, who knows what they'll start talking about in November or October. Thank you, Ronald. Thank you. In 2016, yeah, I started the channel like basically early 2016. Late 2015, I would do a segment every month or like every week, like once a week. You know. And early 2016, then slowly I would do a segment every day. But I would do like, you know, I'd read like the DNC emails, which, by the way, CNN and The Guardian and The New York Times, The Washington Post were publishing. But now you better believe, like, those DNC emails, you couldn't read them anymore. Or no, hopefully with Twitter and Elon Musk, you'll be able to read them. Hopefully, like now, hopefully it would be interesting too, because if Democrats don't have every conceivable possible advantage, there's no way they can even exist as a political party. Like, there's not really, like, there's no policies that work. They cause the poverty that they claim to protect people from. So, like, they literally cause the poverty. Inflation puts people in poverty. So, if you ask like a morally superior liberal Democrat, wonderful journalist or pundit or, you know, YouTuber, it's like, well, do you think inflation is a bad thing? They'll give you the same answer as their thoughts on, you know, a person who commits unspeakable acts. Like, they won't really give you any answers to legitimate, serious questions, like rhetorical questions. They can't give you answers to rhetorical questions that are like questions with an obvious answer. They can't really give that to you. Eric, thank you for being here for so long. Eric, thank you. But ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to head on out. I will do an upload in about an hour. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. To my super chat, thanks everybody. Definitely be here. Definitely be here in about 1 hour. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I'll be back in about 1 hour, people. be here in 1 hour, and I'll be doing a segment on the stock market crash channel and also the Bitcoin crash channel. So watch those segments. Mayo Man, yes. That's fantastic. Mayo Man, awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mayo Man, and everybody here. So be back in 1 hour, everybody. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to my super chat. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated.